Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to patch 9.2 patch notes. We got a lot to talk about. So, I purposely haven't done anything where I talked about the game for a while because, in my opinion, and this is what kind of Riot kind of tricked a lot of people into thinking was that preseason was going to fix a lot of problems that we had last season. And I think that their success at the end of the season, two things happened last season that were really bad. One, well, bad in a way for balance. One, they changed so much of the stuff throughout the year that, including the Scuttle Crab and the AD carry change, that people hated change. And so I think that shocked Riot into not wanting to change a lot going to preseason. Additionally, I think that they were able to sit on their laurels a lot because they had such a successful end of the year. Worlds was great. Worlds into KDA was probably the best way to end off any year that a company could ask for. And so I think that the combination of the two, both the success as well as the failure of the other one, caused them to not change much during preseason. And to be honest, that pisses me off because I spent the entire preseason waiting for something to happen. And when I look at patch 9.2, which let's just go through it. Like, I don't even care. Like, look. Okay, seems like a lot of changes. You have Kane, Rakan, Volibear. That seems like a lot. Like, we're looking at a lot of shit, right? This seems to be way more than we got during, or equivalent, if not more than what we got during the preseason patch. And if that's the case, what was the point of preseason, right? So like, I'm pretty upset because it's like finally it feels like 9.2 is the preseason patch, and we're at the point where we spent literally 2.5 months wasted because what should have been their live PTR like experience where you could test a bunch of new stuff, including like, I don't know, 4 cleaver graves or stacking graves or something like that, and a lot of wild stuff. Nothing really happened. I think they overestimated the impact that both turret planning and bounty system would have. I think there needs to be minor adjustments made to both, and the worst part about it is they haven't even adjusted the two major things, both of those, that have been put into the game. And so I don't know what to say about their preseason except for it feels like a really big failure. From someone who is a hardcore player and I understand, maybe they don't cater to me. It's not a position where they don't expect the players to play 7 hours a day, 8 hours a day. You know, they cater more toward the average player. Maybe plays a couple games every week. And I think even for those players, they're still a little frustrated because the game doesn't actually change that much. So without further ado, I knew what to expect from 9.2 being a relatively large patch. I follow Riot Maple Nectar. I've talked to him in the past, and he has this gigantic big picture about what to expect for 9.2. So I knew that this was going to be a big patch, or a somewhat sizable patch, because we have essentially buffs on 9 different champions, nerfs on 9, 10, 11, 12 but 2 Gallios, so 11 champions, 1 adjustment for Akali, as well as nerfing a major damage item, as well as Relic Shield and Sunfire. So going into this patch, I'm expecting some large stuff. I guess the last thing I want to say about this before we actually just break down the meat of the patch notes is that the people I feel the worst for is not just the people who were expecting large changes in the preseason. I feel bad for the competitive players, because they play LCS week 1 on the patch before this, and I think LCS week 2 on the patch after this. And like, for them to adjust to 2 different styles of play is something that should be happening during preseason, not during the middle of the LCS season, where it's like it feels like competitive integrity got compromised due to their inaction. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So we expect buffs to all these champions, nerfs to these champions, and finally, after 2 years, something to happen to double pen. Thank God. So let's go see what happens. Season start. Okay. This is 9.2 is the official season launching patch. So tomorrow everything gets reset. You get provisional rank after your first rank game. We've added iron tier below bronze and grandmaster, between master, division 5, yada. It's broken into 3 splits. Great idea. Super smart. With the performance in each split upgrading your ranked armor, there's no soft reset or timing between splits, and the season rewards are still based on your overall performance across the season. I think really good idea. The season is so long that it burns people out from playing. Breaking it up into splits allows you to feel like there's more it's areas where you can look forward to, because there's a big trough in the mid season, pretty much, or in between the mid season and the start of the season and the mid season, the end season. There's like a big trough in the middle, and I think that they should try to do whatever they can to minimize that kind of problem, which I think this helps. Positional ranks in Korea and North Korea for the split 1, plan to roll them out globally in split 2. Okay, each position has its own matchmaking, rating, and rank, which yada, but it doesn't work once you hit masters. They all get consolidated into one. So I think positional ranks is something that is very, very good for the game. Similar to the idea of adding additional tiers, the number one thing about playing ranked is you want as many people playing as possible. And when you play ranked, sometimes it's hard to see improvement. The idea of adding more additional tiers into the game, it should be that you get less stuck at certain areas and feel like you're not improving, even when you are. Because sometimes I see league improvement as staircases, where like before you move up to the next stair, you're moving like in a way that you can't tell if you're improving or not, up until you hit the point where you do, or where it visibly shows that it does. And I think that adding these two tiers or divisions, really, really good job by them. Positional ranks will just help smooth out the ranked experience. And I think, you know what? People will care less about being auto-filled or playing off-roll. And the idea with positional ranks, in theory, should be to also encourage people to kind of be okay playing other roles. And therefore making, in theory, more well-rounded players, which is what you'd want in games, in my opinion, rather than everyone one-tricking everything. So there's also 10 posts, which we're not going to get into, because this is going to take way too long if we do. I think we're already 20 minutes in, and I haven't even gotten past the intro. Jesus. Game modes. Rowdy month of yada yada. They'll be shutting down Nexus Splits. We'll be back with future updates. Cool. Got it. Silas, cool-ass champion. His ulti steals other people's ultimates. Really, really cool champ. Nice design. I like it. Cool. I talked about him in my last, in a couple of videos ago. You can go check him out there if you want. Aatrox, Q damage ratio decreased. E recharge time increased. This champ's OP. On a long list of OP champions alongside Urgot, Lissandra, Galio, Aatrox, Akali, yada yada. Aatrox is very, very, very strong. Especially top lane, probably the best top lane in the game, if not the second top 2. So nerfs on him, great. What are they nerfing? They're nerfing total AD scaling, which affects from the level 1, which means the full combo. What the heck? Survived the nerfs with 3 of them and is still savaging both pro and regular play. Dropping his damage across the board. Higher E cooldown means less reliability, but especially focusing on his early game. Okay, so the base damage got unchanged. It's a small nerf here, and it's another small nerf here. He'll still be OP. They didn't do enough. Still too good. Yeah. He's still way too good. This is nothing. Alright. This guy's still gonna be top tier. Continue seeing him in your games. Aurelion Soul. Q cast reduced. Stun duration shorter if recast quickly. Longer for big stars. Okay, so you're able to recast Q very quickly. And you're able to do... The stun duration decreases, but it scales up to 2. Oh wow, the stun duration is so much shorter. That's actually really bad. For the consistency of the champion, you don't reliably hit long range stuns. So lowering the stun durations, you're given the ability to stun in melee range, but you lose the ability to hit, your stun lasts shorter long distance. So it's overall, I think, a nerf, except for against assassins. The previous stun duration reaches after 0.75 seconds when Q reaches his outer limit. Is it the... Oh, that's not that bad. What the heck? The scaling is so weird. So it scales to the previous 1.1 at 0.75 seconds. And then this is just for the insta-Q. Alright, so just a buff to the champion. I don't necessarily think Aurelion Soul is that strong. He's just a really scary champion for me to see in solo queue. I don't. I think these will help him a little bit. But Aurelion is always just a monster solo queue champion. He is the #1 champion at not being able to interact with the other lane opponent and being able to shove and roam. Shove and roam. That's his motto. And he's incredibly powerful at being able to do that. So whenever Aurelion Soul gets buffed, I get kind of scared. This seems fine. No one really plays Soul except for the Soul mains, and in the hands of those players, this champ is probably busted. But I guess it's impossible to balance a champion normally, to be honest, because he's one of the champions that you get the most from one tricking. So like all the Soul mains who play this champion have like insane win rates, and as well as like do incredibly well in solo queue. Okay, let's keep going. Brand. Passive damage decrease over time. She sells out too much safe damage by landing a spell and backing off. So his passive goes down by 1% over. That's a decent nerf. 1% is a lot. So it's not just 1%, it's 1% per stack, right? And at 3 stacks it blows up. So you're going from 12 to 9. It's a decent amount. It's actually a decent amount, a decent nerf. So I'm good. I think Brand is doing a little bit too much damage. I do think that these nerfs will help a little bit. So good. I like it. I would say good nerf. Solid, doesn't destroy the champion, but you'll see a little bit less damage, which is exactly what you want. Cassio, W cooldown increased late, damage decreased late. We're reducing Miyaza's effectiveness, so Cassio has to rely on Twin Twin more for damage. This forces her to get close to enemies, offering them an opportunity to fight back rather than melting helplessly from a distance. So they nerfed the cooldown on it. They made the damage lower. Okay. They just made it so you have more openings with her. I think Cassio's at the point where I probably she's a scary champion because she doesn't do that well into anything but the meta champs except for Lissandra. But she's definitely a champion that can pop off at a moment's notice, especially with nerfs to other top tier champions like Galio. So you have to be careful about whatchamacallit. She's a strong champion. She could get super strong even with this stuff. I think nerfing her a little bit is here. I would just say you'd probably want to chill on Cassio nerfs so you see how the rest of the nerfs to the mid lane champion pool kind of work out over the next 2 weeks. Think she's in a decent spot right now. She's still really strong, and this isn't going to change her effective strength. Galio, Q damage decreased, cost increased, Q damage. Yeah, okay, he's OP. Just we get it. His mana cost got rebuffed, thank God, or renerfed, thank God. His Q does less damage, okay. The AP ratio got nerfed by 0.5. Wow, they just gutted him. Holy shit. The Justice Punch got nerfed too. Wait, they nerfed every single part of his Q possible. The mana cost, the wind blast damage, the ratio, and the tornado ratio. Don't get me wrong, I think that he probably should be nerfed, but Jesus Christ. And they nerfed the Justice. Like, I don't even know if they need to nerf this, right? But then again, having 100 damage on E plus the CC is probably a little high for level 1 ability. I think he'll still probably, like, even with this being said, he'll probably still be okay. I guess, but you want to try to be able to punish people who rush Proto Belt. And I think having 30 mana on Q is actually a big deal. 30 mana nerf on Q is like a huge deal, actually. So I think Galio will still be decent, which should say something about his relative strength right now. And I see Galio as a champion that should be used to counterpick certain melee heavy champions, or and I think that hopefully with this he's actually dealable with. Before he's not, but maybe here it's okay. Like I thought my initial thought is that this is way too heavy-handed, but maybe that I think to myself, what if Galio is just deleted from the game? Would the game be in a better state? Probably. I think that he keeps so many champions away from being able to be played that like I'd rather over nerf the champion and see what happens than anything else. So I'm down for excessive nerfs on the champion, and even with these nerfs, after thinking about him for a minute or so, I think he's still okay. Like he's still probably a better champion than certain other champions, which should say something about how strong he is right now. So Good nerfs all around. If they delete the champion, I'd probably still be okay with it. Cool. A really broken champion. Bonus damage versus shields removed. Okay. You know why this is okay? I don't know if people remember. Do you know why her passive was put in the game? Because when she was being redesigned and reworked, people were complaining about needing a shield penetrating passive because everyone was playing Janna and I think they were playing Ardent. Janna Ardent, Lulu Ardent. So shields were OP at the time. And you know what happens when she comes out? People stop playing shields because they stop being meta. But she still got bonus against shields, which is hilarious. But yeah, I guess that was a lot of invisible power, so they took that off. Cool. Q damage is flat bonus. Okay, I think that she's too easy to CS on, so I really agree with this number. And the numbers are I think it's is it easier to CS at level 1? Her total AD at level 1 is going to be 50. Damage, double damage removed. I think it's easier to CS early levels of Q, and it's really bad once you get later. So it's a really bad mid to late game CSing nerf. That's okay. I don't think that's gonna matter too much, to be honest. But let's keep going. Probably important when you're trying to wave clear excessively, but it's without Tiamat. Vanguard's edge is now 2.5, and her wall slow is 90%. But they're no longer disarmed. Okay, the disarm was actually so much power onto the kit. So I think that's great. I don't necessarily think that you needed to have a 90%. Like, I don't think this part needed to be buffed. Sure. I think she's still going to be really strong. They rebuffed her wall damage too. Wow. They gave it 50 base, 50, 75, 100 base. I don't think this does much for her. She's still strong, but the removal of disarm means she's got less teamfight utility going to mid late game, which is nice, but I think she's still really good. Similar to Aatrox, I don't think that these nerfs do that much. Okay. Jarvan, nice. I love Jarvan. Me and Danny play this champ all the time. E attack speed buffed, so it's clear speed as well as unique aura he provides to the team. So they 5% more attack speed. Nice. And it's just a raw buff across the line. That's good. That's good. I don't think Jarvan needs Jarvan just needs a distinguishing factor between himself and Camille. And if the distinguishing factor is the fact that he can frontline better as well as provide attack speed, I think that's okay. So 5% is definitely a lot, actually. 5% passively, 5% more when you use it is great. It's super, super good. So I like it. It's great. I don't think this will make him OP because he's also relatively an outplayable jungler, if that makes sense. You could flash his EQ really easily. Usually, I never feel like it's too unfair dying to Jarvan, and I think that this doesn't increase his tankiness in the jungle; it just increases his clear speed. So catching him with his cooldowns down means he'll probably die anyways. Jax. Okay, this champ is so OP. I don't think he should be able to get to the power that he does. Part of it's due to Essence Reaver being incredibly overtuned on bruisers. And part of it is going to be the fact that he just gets to his ramp up state way too early. So he lost 2 AD and 15 flat on Q. Not even 5 AD? You know, I would be okay with these nerfs if they also nerfed Essence Reaver at the same time. But like, because I think that to really balance this champion, you need to see how he is with Essence Reaver removal as well. But this doesn't seem like it's gonna do anything. So somewhere like they nerfed so many top tier champions. Jax, they nerfed Aurelia, they nerfed Aatrox. And as I'm looking at all these nerfs for these champions, I'm just wondering to myself, they need to hit them harder. Wow. Okay. Well, this isn't gonna do anything. I'm just gonna be honest. It's a very small nerf. Kassadin. Okay, I completely agree with Kassadin nerfs. For some, he was fine. They buffed his ulti cooldown, and they've been trying to ramp him backwards ever since. This champion should be a champion that is not blind pickable because you should be able to counter pick him. But he's at the point where he's pretty much blind pickable. So I really like the fact that they're making him anti-magic thing, and he should be counterpicked by physical damage bullies. Really good, like at least a decent direction for the nerf. I like it a lot, thank God. Jesus. Kayn, transformation rules are smoother and more intuitive. Unlock red progress and blue Kayn are no longer separate. And capitalizing on advantageous mid-game opportunities against ranged, one range type no longer risks undoing the work you did to unlock the first type. If you end up unlocking the form you don't want, now you can unlock the form you do want faster by continuing to fight the other range type. Cool. Once one form is unlocked, he doesn't have to wait 4 full minutes. Okay, nice. That's cool. That's really nice. And you can ping the transformation bar. Nice. Are giving Shadow Assassin a better shot at escaping situations? Oh, his ulti lets him space a little bit more. Okay, that's cool. No, it's really nice quality of life buff for Kayn. Nice, excellent. Nico, W clone, haste duration increased. Clone travels to target direction. That rather than pathing to target location, R no longer slows, but Nico lands faster after jumping. They want to make her a better clone. So the clone lasts a full second longer. Now travels to the target direction until it runs into terrain rather than pathing into the target direction. Passive once again works on towers. Okay. This is a really important bug fix. Jump time is reduced? Okay. The slow got removed. I didn't even know it slowed. Doesn't it root? Why does the slow matter? Why was it even in there? Oh, she slows as she jumps up. Okay, no, I remember that. It's more important for you to be able to be in a good position when you start the cast. Then okay, that makes sense. Sure. The thing about Nico right now, I almost said Zoe, is that she's a very normal champion. I feel like she's not super unfair to play against. I think that she is just average. And to be honest, I'm happy she's average and not disgusting. She has good counterplay with gap closing assassins being able to beat her up, or gap closing bruisers. And I think that she has a good place. I do think her ulti cooldown might be too short, but maybe that's her strength, her ability to chain ulti cooldowns on every fight. And so I don't necessarily have much to complain about her. I think she's a semi-unique champion, and she's kind of cool at what she does. That's it. And I do think being able to buff her kind of shapeshifter thing, W thing, is helpful. This is probably the largest buff of the entire thing. Her passive now works with turrets. Really important for shoving. Cool. Let's keep going. Ornn. Health and armor increased. Yeah, this champ is garbage right now, from what I understand. The problem with buffing Ornn is he's automatically buffed if games go longer. Let's just put that out right now. Because you just get more power onto your team every level at 14 and past. So you have to be careful based on the meta. Ornn could just naturally be a lot better than you expect. I do think that currently, from what I understand, he's kind of weak from people that I've talked to. So these stat nerfs should be helping him out a little bit. Rakan. Rakan has been one of the worst champions to ever be. He's one of the hardest to balance champions to ever be released in the game. So when you talk to before, there was no such thing as a reliable, guaranteed initiation before Rakan, especially when it comes to competitive. When you think about all the initiations in the game, the stuff that you're just like, the ones that are like really big standouts for you are stuff like, like Malphite ulti or Ash Arrow, even Varus ulti. There's a Mumu ulti. There's almost everything has a very clear visual way it comes in, or a way for you to react to it. Rakan is the only champion in the game where it's impossible to react to his ability. Even on a pro level, people who train to play this game non-stop will get initiated on Rakan because the champion's initiation is just broken. So the only way to balance this champion effectively is to break apart his initiation so he can't solo initiate to create picks like he does. You know? So I've always thought that ever since the like Rakan was like the start of them releasing champions, which are just complete BS to play against, at least in competitive. And Rakan right now, I don't think it's balanceable with the current speed of his initiation. I do love to read that his armor got decreased and his W dash speed decreases but activates faster upon reaching the destination. So slowing the dash speed gives foes more time to react to Rakan's dive or reducing the delay before it pops up, keeping it effective. So I like this a lot because they're breaking apart the they're giving you more time to react to his combo, and I think they really need to because this combo is just way too quick in the game, like actually incredibly fast. So now they're doing it to its, if they nerfed it by like what, almost a third, but it goes faster. So regardless, I think this is a great way to nerf them. Anything about the WS speed is good. The armor thing, cool. I don't really care as much as the other thing because this is Rakan's biggest strength and his biggest balance problem. The ability for you not to be able to react to his initiation. As long as they help you to be able to do that, his initiation should be more should have ample, like, decent counterplay opportunity, in my opinion. So obviously he's still going to be able to hit people really quickly, and he's still going to be able to initiate well. You just at some point want to be able to react to it. Cool. Shyvana, passive bonus damage to dragons increased. What? Why does that matter? E mark damage increased. The passive thing is whatever. The E thing is really interesting. They buffed it by 0.75. Now you may think to yourself, this is useless. This is actually garbage. But I think it's actually a huge buff. Because it's every auto you hit does that, right? And Q counts as 2 autos because that's the way that her twin strike works. So it's not about a situation where just AP Shyvana gets buffed. It's like actual Shyvana has a much quicker clear and much better pressure on objectives. So it's really good for attack speed versions of Shyvana. Yeah, auto Q gives you 1.5, 2.25% extra max health damage. That's crazy. That's so good. You might want to be careful. So Shyvana before used to be one of the best fast clearing junglers in the game, and then she got replaced by Kayn. Champions like Kayn and Graves, and hasn't seen much of a return. With this, her clear speed should be quite formidable, in my opinion. So, and Devour is better on her, so she should be able to take Dragon alongside, like, the combination of both of these two things. Maybe it didn't matter so much individually. Like, this passive buff is not that important, but together, it's actually quite powerful. She should be able to solo dragons very easily at pretty much at any point past level 5. Okay. Nice buff. I think it makes her jungle clear better, and that's what she should be. She should be a fast clearing jungler because she has no utility. She has nothing else in her kit, right? She has no. Her only CC is her ulti. She only does damage, and she's big body, big boned, and that's it. Okay, really interesting. I'll play her a lot when it comes out. Tom Kench, allies in combat with champions can no longer jump into R. Oh my god, really? The best play I've ever seen with Tom Kench was, I think, last Worlds, where someone flashed over the wall and Kench ultied and saved his teammate going in. It was actually legitimately one of the best things I've ever seen people do. It was insane. Not being able to do that kind of is weird. I don't think it was really needed. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe it is a second Devourer, and I think that maybe, sure. Of all the things in the game, like Kench is like very, very fringe playable right now. So like I don't think of this as needing to be nerfed because he's just not even played. But the only way I can justify a nerf like this or think about a nerf is if they expect to be able to nerf enchanters, or nerf like this guy, other champions where he comes back into the meta. But I don't see that. I haven't seen that so far. This was a strange nerf. Sure. Urgot, thank God this champ is broken. I want to see Faker play something that's actually requires skill and not 82 games of this champion this year. Please, dear God. Armor decreased, Q cost increased, W cooldown increased early. Armor goes down by 3, Q cost goes up to 10. Oh wow, the W shield is actually so long. He's still gonna be broken. He will be easier to play around top lane though. 4 seconds off the W is really nice. 17 seconds is a long time. I think mid lane is a lot less relevant because a lot of times mid lane you're just poking with Q. So this is definitely a nerf to Urgot. And I like what I'm seeing. I would probably like to see a little bit more, but sure, I guess I'm happy with what I can get. I was hoping for more though. The Q mana might hurt a lot more than people expect, for sure. You max Q all the time to be able to poke. So yeah, we'll see. Volibear, E bonus damage versus dashing airborne targets. R ratio increased. On cast lightning happens faster. Lightning now bounces instantly. So I was really hyped to see Shyvana, Jarvan, Volibear buffs. So what people don't know is I used to be one of the only people who played Volibear. About a season or 2 seasons ago, I like spammed Volibear nonstop every single game. Actually, my highest win rate jungler. They're changing his E to do bonus damage versus dashing airborne targets. Okay. So Q into E is the most standard combo to do max damage. He's garbage. Still. I think this is nice because you're never gonna care about AP ratio. The flat damage is not very good. But the reason why Volibear was played initially was because he had extremely good damage on his W. So he was a strong skirmishing jungler that snowballs well, but falls off tremendously after 2 items. That's how Volibear works. When they nerfed his W, he lost his entire reason why you play the champ. Like he has no actual role in the game of League of Legends because he can't out skirmish any of the meta skirmishing junglers at the moment. So, especially without his W. If they reverted his W nerf as well as did this stuff, it would actually be really nice. But seeing how they're not going to do that, Yeah, they should just rework him. I think the idea of a lightning bear is so cool, so sick. This is a bear that summons the power of thunder and lightning into his hands, you know? And instead we get probably one of the lamer champions in the game. He runs faster at you. He like kind of pushes you a little bit, and he when he auto attacks, he shoots a small spark of lightning. He's due for a rework. Please rework this champion soon. This isn't gonna see any. This isn't gonna matter. I'll be honest. Cool. That sucks. I really wish Volibear got more nerfs or more buffs. York. Main now follows York. Oh my god. That's all I needed to read. The rest of this now follows York when he leaves lane. I don't need to read the rest. That's all we're reading. We York, best champ in the game now. Holy shit. The amount of times I summon the ulti, and then like they just run away, and it just runs down the lane. It's like I wish I could run down the lane when I see it. All right, let me go read the rest. Maiden health skills better with game time. Okay. A grave spawn faster late. I thought they were talking about the champion. Okay. No. I understand. That's cool. So his late game is better. Mistwalkers and Maiden no longer deal less damage when far from York. So he's a better split pusher too. Wow. Okay. Wait. Okay. This is great. So it does. This is really cool. So that's full damage. 262. The Mistwalker gold that decrease. I guess that's nice. Bug fix no longer sometimes fails to target an enemy. This is actually really annoying. So this bug fix actually matters a lot. What did they buff about the thing? Oh wow, he scales with Yorick's health. That's so good. Because Yorick is a champion that goes Sterix, like the standard, BS Sterix, Trinity Force, health stacking stuff. That every bruiser in the game goes because the combination of them is super OP. Oh, so you get the option to set the maiden free, but she can't come back. So if you wanted the option to cross a split push, you could do that. That's cool. I like that. The choice is yours. I think quality of life buffs is so... all these quality of life buffs are so nice for Yorick. I don't even know how strong Yorick is. Just reading this stuff, like as a person who used to play Yorick here and there, is really nice to read. Really nice to read. I think the champion stuff isn't really played by a lot of people, but these are buffs where you're just like... They're buffs, but they're more just like... It makes it so when you play the champion, it's just more enjoyable. Amen. I love all of this stuff. Really nice Yorick stuff. Notice he didn't actually get buffed, but like, except for maybe the main health, but everything else is really helpful. Zyra, mana regen decreased. You know why I laughed my ass off on this? Here, let me look at this. Her base mana was 15.3. Ori's base mana is 8. Like there's sometimes I agree with Freak here. Base stats just don't make any sense. Maybe the champion's supposed to be like a high mana usage but regens quickly kind of champion. I can definitely see that. And I thought when they were saying they were gonna nerf Zyra that they were gonna nerf her damage, similar to Brand. I think the Brand nerf up here. Oh my god, we've gone through a lot already. The Brand nerf up here makes a lot of sense. His problem is he does too much damage, so they lower the amount of damage he does. Easy. So when I think of Zyra, I think, you know what, Zyra does too much damage. Similarly to Brand, and it's too guaranteed that the range that she does that. So their solution was, we'll make it so Zyra can shoot less plants at you, but the damage is still the same. I think Zyra is probably too strong right now. Yeah, I think the damage that she does is like quite nuts. Maybe the Oblivion Orb nerf will hurt both of these champions as well. But yeah, I was just expecting damage nerfs. Actually, legit. Evelyn, quality of life changes. Still prioritizes the last champion, then the next non-champion hits, but now prioritizes the lowest health champion instead of the lowest health non-champion. Okay, that's nice. Can now be buffer up to 0.5 seconds. Okay. No longer fizzles as Evelyn loses sight. Okay. No longer drops on top of her target. Okay. Can now be buffered during. Oh, that's so nice. So if you press E and spam ulti while you're Eing, you're guaranteed the combo. Oh, this is actually really nice. The buffering is really, really good for Eve. It's solid buff. I don't know what to think about Eve right now. I'm not seeing a single Eve in the last month. But quality of life buff seems nice. Kled, this one actually went live last patch. Jousting through minis no longer likely to stack them directly on top of each other. I don't even know. Okay, sure. I don't really know if that's good or bad. I think that's actually good for Kled if they stack them on top, because he's able to clear them easier with Tiamat. But sure. Minimap targeting. Oh, thank God. Dude, I've actually Lux ultied the wrong direction on the minimap before, and it was embarrassing. Like everyone's done that at some point. I'm surprised they didn't do it for more champions, because I think it happens for like Ezreal ulti as well, and some other stuff. But I've done it on Lux, so thank you, Riot, for this. I appreciate it. I'm an idiot. I appreciate it. Oblivion Orb. Cost increased, AP decreased. It's a ubiquitous mage pickup due to the ability to stack his pen and Sork shoes relatively early in the game. With that being the case, why didn't we nerf the magic pen? Yes, why didn't you nerf the magic pen? We're shrinking Oblivion Orb's contribution toward AP ratio so it's less attractive for late game scaling mages, while still satisfying to rush for champions with high base damage are looking for. But they didn't nerf the AP gold value of or the AP overall AP of Morello's. So you're still gonna get Morello's every game. Oh, they did? Oh yeah, it's right down here. Okay, never mind. The thing becomes cheaper. I just have to look down one. Okay. I was hoping for bigger nerfs. I understand why they would want to cater certain things toward Pen, but I think that this isn't gonna stop anything. This is I wanted the more harsher nerf similar to Tiamat. I think was a pretty large nerf to the item itself that forced certain champions to stop buying it or more consider maybe other options. I think the nerf is okay. I guess for me, I'm just more happy they're doing it. My biggest problem with this, and we're gonna go back in history a little bit. So when they first did the AP itemization rework, let me go Google it. Was in February on the hit PBE in February 2018. Maybe so. It was about a year ago where they did AP itemization rework at the beginning of last preseason. Even before this happened, every single mage in the game before this rework was building double pen. Every single one. And after this happened, they introduced multiple different CDR items. They introduced like 3 different versions of mana items, right? Where you want to take this or this one or yeah, all this stuff. And they made it still after everything kind of calmed down. A couple months later, everyone still bought double pen. So for a period of about 2 years straight, or 1.5 to 2 years straight, the entire mid lane, like, or I guess mage meta was dominated by double pen stacking mages. The only consideration was can they skip? They buy one item before the double pin, unless they're support, which they buy the double pin immediately. That was the big consideration for post nerf. Pre nerf, I think you just rushed it. I don't really remember that time, so I don't really want to talk too much about it. But this has been a core problem of AP damage champion balance for years. And so I'm just happy that it's finally getting nerfed, so that maybe I don't buy this on every single stupid champ in the game, and maybe I have to think about actually buying Morello's for its ability to decrease healing, as opposed to just getting it every game. And it turns out, hey, decreased healing is just a nice stat to have. So I'm happy to see the nerf. I wish it was a little bit more, but sure. Happy to see the nerf. Sunfire. I think it is actually a little bit too expensive. I've tried building Sunfire a couple times top lane. It's always felt very pricey. So, especially, I like this. 150 gold isn't going to hurt anyone. It'll make Sunfire a little bit better for certain champions. And maybe it might actually be built sometime, because I really never see it getting built. So, I like it. Pretty good. Overheal. Allied healing grants less shielding. Self-healing grants more shielding late. Shield decays gradually instead of immediately. Overheal effectiveness and reliability. The self-heal portion goes up to 100%. Oh. And then it decays after 6 seconds instead of falling off instantly. I don't necessarily. Oh, did we F? Very slow decay. Wow, the decay is actually incredibly slow. I think this is better for solo queue for sure. Generally speaking, I want to be having overheal when I play with stuff like Soraka, Nami. Really good examples of overhealing being incredibly powerful. I just worry it's going to be too strong with self-healing, because the champions that tend to rush Bork or Thirster are going to get a lot more value off of this than anyone else. But I guess we'll see. It's definitely something that is, with combination of lifesteal items and you get to mid to late game, really problematic. Because the way that I see it, and part of the reason why I play a lot of assassins, right? Bloodthirster kind of annoying for me to play into. If a champion has Bloodthirster plus Overheal, I played the meta where Targuns on AD was meta, and I could not kill AD champions at all. And I don't want to go back to a meta where that's possible, where the amount of shielding they have is kind of just makes them unkillable from a burst perspective. So I'm a little bit worried about the rune. I think it'll be okay. Legend Bloodline. Lifesteal per stack decreased, max stacks doubled. The choice between Bloodline and Alacrity isn't that exciting, with the majority of potential users simply defaulting to Alacrity without much thought. We're shifting Bloodline to be a stronger late game option, adding to a new decision point on top of attack speed or lifesteal. Oh wow, you can get 4% more lifesteal? That's actually a decent amount. I think the only person who uses Bloodline is Aurelia and Caitlyn. Now I think going into the game, they're still going to be the only two champions that use them. They probably will stop using them actually. I think Riot doesn't understand in this situation. Oh, maybe Draven. I think that one of the hard things is in Jhin. So like 4 champions in the game, 4 or 5 champions in the game. I think one of the hard things to balance in this game is the fact that the game is so early game snowball based. So sure, it's great to have max stacks later in the game, but you're always gonna have to balance the ability to get 2 later in the game, rather than as opposed to just having earlier power. And a lot of times people aren't going to want to value later game power when you don't even get to late game half the time. So I think that them nerfing this early game might actually be something that is more discouraging for certain people. Who knows? I think it's okay. We'll see. I think Riot has to be careful with the thought process of late game. late game option when the game is so much decided. So much of the game is decided in the early game. Cut down. No one uses this. Scales dramatically over time, game time due to flat health differences becoming much narrower before level scaling, items kick in. Switching to a percentage model makes it useful even in the early game, although the max bonus is going to be accommodate that is going down to accommodate the increase in relevance. Percentage max health difference. This is nice. I think the other one was literally unusable. So at least this has fringe case uses in situations where you play against multiple tanks. But I don't necessarily see many people using this. It's potentially a little bit better, especially when it comes to maybe bruisers versus tank matchups top lane, and you're against like maybe double frontline. I can see it being used. That's about it. Absolute focus. This rune is broken. Probably the best rune in the entire tree. Keystone level rune. Overtuned particularly for champions who attract tons of PvE value for the bonus. We're bringing the effectiveness down across the board. Wow, they nerfed it by a lot. 3 to 24, 1.8 to 18, 5 to 40, 3 to 30. Well, I think it was necessary. Adds too much extra damage to the game. One of the things I'm kind of annoyed I don't see is there isn't a there's an aftershock nerf. I think that rune is actually broken. But I guess I'm not seeing it this patch. Rune stats. Adaptive damage decreased, armor and MR increased. Oh, by the way, people are still going to take absolute focus because it's still the best thing on this tree because celerity is absolute garbage. So it's still the best thing here. Maybe some people might take transcendence now because CDR is semi-valued stat. Wait, did they nerf Lissandra? LLK. Sure. Guess she's still gonna be OP. Rune stats. Adaptive damage decrease, armor and MR increase. The adaptive stat has proven to be the best option in the offense row, especially in the flex row, so we're nerfing it. Buffs to the armor and MR rune will bring flex in line overall, with MR needing more of a leg up. While the individual buffs and nerfs here might look fiddly, a change in pick rates creates a far more noticeable effect. Champions who switch their flex from adaptive to armor or MR will lose 10 damage, not 1. Huh. I actually think this is really interesting. So it's getting to the point where they're giving you a lot of potential MR on the tree. So if you're like one of those players who just like sucks against playing against certain assassins, especially ranged assassins like LeBlanc for instance, ranged AP assassins, you're giving a lot of good ways to handle it. Everyone in the game defaults to damage, but to be honest, sometimes the extra safety is nice. So it is a lot of MR right now, legit, ton of MR. Yeah, I think it potentially could be too good. I guess we'll see. I'm surprised they buffed it by 2. Summoner spells. Ignite. Damage and cooldown decreased. Ignite's damage nerf should come as no surprise. Yes, it's been too OP. Cooldown buff may look surprising, but shifting power out of Ignite's burn to its uptime lets us swing harder on damage without killing the spell entirely. Okay, I think that's reasonable. They didn't even nerf it by that much, right? They nerfed it by 10 to 90 damage. And they cut 30 seconds off of it. Still going to be used just as much as before, but maybe it doesn't just kill you from 25% like every game. They don't even need a buff to cool down. I'm surprised I'm really surprised they did this. Really, really surprised. Okay. Game pacing. Baron buff is weaker in the early game. During the preseason, we made Baron buff less mandatory for sieges by buffing minions to reduce the degree. Games around it were following suit by weakening the combat strength. Early Barons offered to reduce the number of games that snowball off one good play. Oh, really? Scaling accelerates, so the attack damage goes. Oh, so it's just useless. Wait, what? It got nerfed by 50% at 20 minutes. Wait, that's actually huge. I think this is a really good thing. I think that the game length is right now is a little bit too short, and you shouldn't. I hate losing Baron because I feel like the game's over. Like generally, I'll forfeit the game if Baron's gone. Um, I don't want the games to like extend too long, but I think increasing the average game length is something that should be tested. So it's nice of them to be able to add this kind of change during the preseason, and not during the main season when people are going to have to be playing their ranked on. It's a very considerate right to do that. Inhibitor and Nexus turrets have late game resistances at all times. On a similar note, as hand the Baron above, we're making default defenses more resilient to early sieges. To avoid falling out to unrecoverable. I think you know what, I like this. I like both of these. I think Inhibitor and Nexus turrets should be a little strong. I just really wish they did this during the preseason. What the heck? They're actually changing the entire game pacing, which is a huge deal. Actually, like enormous deal. The game is literally built around getting Baron and ending the game with it. So we spent 2.5 months on a game that's going to be paced differently after it's over. I'm sure. This is probably too big of a change for me to talk about or theorize. It's something where I'm just have to play through it. General assumption is that it's going to increase the average game length by about like 1 to 3 minutes at the very least, and that's a lot. Like 1 to 5 minutes is a lot extra time. It means that I think 80s got buffed right here. This was the 80 buff that people were looking for, because the longer the game goes, the better 80s are. So as the game elongates, crit 80s are allowed to get more and more powerful. So how do they even balance 80 if the game average extends? Because it's been the same for the entire preseason. Okay, you know what? That's Riot's thing. I'm not even gonna touch that kind of potential problem. I do think this is something that helps AD carries for sure. All scaling AD carries. Jungle. Okay, this is what QD told me was going to be huge. So this is the other big thing. Camp experience decreased. Wow. Rift scaler gold scaling not decreased. Did it result in jungle power and influence reduction we intended? Yep, jungle is probably the most important role in the game right now. Experience scales every second level instead of every level. It's going to reduce from 50% to 25%. They nerfed Gromp and Merc as it goes on. The initial clear is still the same. Krug's got nerfed quite a bit. Okay. Experience scales every second level instead of every level. It's going to reduce from 57% to 25%. Experience decreased and gold decreased. huge changes in the jungle. It means this nerfs jungle after the first clear, right? The first clear is identical, but after the first clear, the power farming the jungle will not make you the highest level in the game. I definitely think that this is good, or this is good. Like I think jungle is way too powerful right now, so this rewards you to this makes it so that it's not as beneficial to just straight power farm. it rewards you actually ganking more, if I recall correctly. Oh, and this is something, holy shit. This is something I've been complaining about in the game for such a long time. That challenging smite exists in the game. And it's supposed to be an item used by tanks to be able to skirmish better, but it's just be used by skirmishers to skirmish even better than they already do. So this nerf has been a long time coming. We're talking like year plus coming, actually. So they nerfed it by quite a bit. 12 damage off at level 1 is humongous. And to like 35 damage off, great. And I think going into the gold or the XP nerf, it's actually quite substantial. I think you're not gonna notice it too much on your way to level 6, but on your way from levels like kind of 6 to later, it's gonna be pretty bad. I should say you'll notice it from 3, 5, and 6 onwards. So 6 to 9 is, or 5 to 9 is gonna be something that you really notice. You're gonna be leveling a lot slower. I'm all down for jungle nerfs. As someone who's been playing jungle nonstop, I think that a lot of times I look and see myself at highest CS, highest level in the game, and I don't think that should be the case. Even if I'm doing really well, I think I should only be that I don't necessarily know if I should be out leveling or overperforming solo lanes. It's 50 less XP for clear, so it's one more clears level 6 to 9. It actually impacts gankers more since it makes rubber banding less possible. And that may be true as well. It's hard for me to really judge. I think that both of those statements make a lot of sense. I don't necessarily know how it's going to feel like. I will just have to play more to see. But any nerfs to jungle are A+ to me. I think that the challenge smite nerf, God bless. Thank you, Riot Games. Oh my god. Okay, I read this bug fix. Jace's auto attack animation has been bugged for a long time, and I know people get pissed off about it. Thank God it's getting buffed. God bless. Aside from that, it looks like the more W reactivating no longer grants double the amount of shielding by people hit from enemies hit by both zones. I didn't even know that was a thing, but holy shit, that's actually a huge fix. And riposte can now directly probably block Pike's R with Fiora. Okay, that's cool. I think I like it. I would have actually liked to see. I know they're doing AD itemization rework next patch, so I'm not gonna really cover AD items that I would like to see or the relative strength of it. I really wish they nerfed some of the meta champs a lot more. Like, I want to see a new meta where those champions don't exist. What happens, If they just delete Aatrox, Urgot, whatchamacallit, Lissandra Galio from the game, maybe not delete them, but like heavily nerf them, how does the meta change? Like, I want to see what happens. And honestly, I'm not given that opportunity. Additionally, I'm really surprised I don't see any jungle champion nerfs. I think they nerfed the overall jungle, so they have to see how it adjusts. But like champions like Xin Zhao, for instance, or Camille, or to some extent Sedge, seem extremely powerful and maybe probably too powerful for their kits. But yeah, there's a lot of champions, a lot of powerful champions that I wish got nerfed harder. Overall, I would say the patch is definitely going in a good direction, and it just makes me wish to God this was the preseason patch and not the patch that LCS players play on in a week and have to learn, or the patch that I have to learn while grinding in the initial week.